Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode. I am going to be diving into something that I know most of you will find really, really hard. And I know that because I have heard it from every single person I have ever worked with, including myself, that this does not come easy. But the problem is, if we do not find ways to not only bring these pieces into our relationship with ourselves and our relationship with our own healing and transformation, real healing and transformation becomes an impossibility. So it's not only important, it's imperative. So today I am going to be diving into the topic and the inquiry into why trust and compassion are the most fundamental qualities for us as human beings to not only be able to live by, but to embody in order for transformation, for our maturation to even be possible. So let's look at this. Why is that even a statement that I am willing to make? Why is it that without trust and compassion, healing and transformation is not only harder, but it is an actual impossibility? Let me begin by saying this. Two of the hardest things that human beings struggle with and the human mind struggles with, quite literally, it instantaneously reactivates or activates the mechanicalness of the human mind, meaning it is an instant trigger to your survival mechanism. These two pieces. The first one is being in the not knowing. Human beings find being in the unknown almost intolerable. Why? Because human beings are run by a human mind, and the human mind finds being in the not knowing intolerable. The second piece that human beings struggle with, and therefore the human mind finds intolerable, is being kind and understanding to ourselves in being a human being. These two pieces are consistent to every single human being I have ever worked with, because we are run by a human mind. Being in the unknown and being kind and understanding to ourselves in what it even means to be human. And yet, without these two qualities, healing and growth and maturation are an impossibility. It is impossible to outgrow our survival mechanisms and our survival patterns without being able to be in the unknown and being kind and understanding to our own humanness. So you can hear the dilemma. Like, if we don't solve this within ourselves, we stay stuck forever. So, hear this. Listen up if you can hear yourself in this experience. You find yourself wanting so much to heal and change your relationship with yourself and change your relationship with your life, and for things to flow more easily. You do everything you possibly can. You do the workshops, you do the retreats, you learn the strategies, you learn the language, you go to therapy, you take psychedelics, you do breath work, you do all the things. But at some point in your everyday life, even though you do all the things, your mind won't do what you want it to do. Or you get triggered again, and it is so automatic and mechanical that it shocks you that no matter how much work you are doing, you still get triggered by the same things. And then you find yourself being flooded by the same pain and the same suffering and the same fears and the same struggles. Or you find yourself getting stuck in similar patterns and similar limitations, maybe in your business or your relationships or with your body or with yourself. Or you start growing and entering into a new phase of how you show up in your life and how your life can feel for you and what's possible for you in your life. And then the vulnerability of being so in the unknown triggers you so much that you plummet right back into the patterns of control again. And then it all kicks off. You judge yourself and blame yourself and you berate yourself. And maybe you even pretend that you're not doing those things, but you are. And then you start pushing and controlling and doing everything that you can that you know doesn't really work anymore, but you can't stop it. And you find yourself in this kind of strange, uncontrollable pattern and way of being that you can't get out of. And you think there's something really wrong with you, but you can't even tell yourself that or tell yourself the truth about thinking that, because then you might have to feel it. Well, if you hear yourself in this, you're not alone. This video is for you. So, in this episode, I'm going to be covering these topics. I want to reveal to you the two hardest things that human beings and the human mind finds completely intolerable, and why. What is actually taking place when we are in the not knowing? What actually happens to the human mind and body-mind apparatus that makes it so hard to be in the not knowing? And why we can't actually mature as long as we are resisting and unable to be in the not knowing. I'm going to cover what actually takes place in our system when we finally start making the decision to trust, and what trust even is. What actually happens to our body-mind apparatus when we start deciding to really trust? And what is it that even trust is? I also want to talk about what even takes place in our body-mind apparatus when we offer and can feel, genuinely feel, compassion. So, let's dive in. Let me begin by just distinguishing what is trust. You know, it's a word that it gets thrown around a lot. It's a word that gets used a lot. But what even is it? I want to distinguish with you 3 different kinds of trust. And I'm teaching this to you from the context of maturation, from an ontological context. So there is the first kind of trust, and this is the kind of trust that most people find themselves in, and they may not even realize that they find themselves in this, but you might recognize this in yourself. And when you see this, and if you see this in yourself, see it with compassion, please. Do not use this as a way to beat yourself up or even to get defensive or feel like I'm judging you by pointing this out. No, it's really, really common to get stuck in this first level of trust, but it is also highly ineffective for our maturity and our power and our growth. So the first kind of trust is like a child's trust. It's the way that children trust, where we either put all our trust and hope into something outside of ourselves, and just trust that this thing outside of ourselves is going to take care of what we need and what we want. And we find ourselves doing that in all sorts of different ways. Maybe in relationships, we do that with our partners. Maybe we do that with friendships. Maybe we do it with God and in religion. Maybe we do it with coaches. Maybe we do it with bank accounts and leaders and political leaders, and we're doing it all over the place. So we put this trust outside of ourselves, and we give so much of ourselves, if not all of ourselves, and we trust. Oh, I trust, and I trust that it's all going to work out if so and so can take care of it, or whatever it is outside of ourselves can take care of it. And then when it doesn't work out, we lose all trust. It's like somebody disappoints us, or a friendship doesn't quite live up to our standards or our expectations, or our partners are imperfect and they do something that hurts us. Or God didn't deliver on what you were praying for. And immediately we lose all trust, and we can't trust anything, and we can't trust anyone, and we can't trust, and I don't trust at all. So you can hear it's literally how children are in a relationship with trust. And this kind of trust is actually very, very young. It's a very young, immature way of being, which is, in other words, a very ineffective way of being in the world. And it also is very disempowering. The difficulties about staying in such young ways of being is that children are victims. And it keeps us in a very lower state of victim consciousness, which is not very empowering, is it? If we want to become more effective, liberated, joyful, authentic beings in our life. So that first kind of trust is probably the most common, but it's not very effective. Then there's the second kind of trust and the third kind of trust, which are much more mature states of trust. The second one is not putting all your ability to trust on what you do or what you say, or what anyone else does, or what they say. Because essentially, all human beings are imperfect. All human beings are imperfect beings. It's not only may be that the human beings in your life will at some point disappoint you. It's inevitable. It's an absolute guarantee, because human beings are imperfect beings. So basing your ability to trust on what someone does, or what someone says, or what you do and what you say, is a very unstable and unreliable basis to base trust on. So instead of trusting in just what we do and what we say, the second more mature kind of trust is trusting in who you really are. Who you are is not just what you say or what you do. Who you are is who you have been being over your lifetime. Who you are despite what you say or what you do. And what I mean by that is, I'm going to use myself as an example. I've made many mistakes in my life, some big ones. I've hurt people. I've said stupid things, and I've reacted like a child sometimes, and I've gotten triggered. But one thing about who I am is consistently over many, many years and a consistent period of time, long period of time, I have always done whatever I can to clean up my mess. Sometimes it took me longer. Sometimes it was immediate. But I can see that I can really trust in who I am, in being someone of integrity and courage. I have been through really, really hard things in my life, and I have always come out the other side. I have consistently been imperfect in my behavior and in what I do, but who I am has been consistent, that I am someone that will always be willing to look at myself and do my part to show up with integrity, consistency, and courage and commitment. And so I can trust in who I am far more than what I do. Now, apply that to also someone else. When you're in a relationship with someone and they make mistakes, and sometimes they're an asshole, or sometimes they do mean things and they act like a child. But when you really know who they are, or you look at who they are, and they've shown you who they are beyond what they do and what they say, can you trust them? Meaning, do they show up, make amends, clean things up with courage, commitment, consistency? Can you trust who they are, not just in what they do and say? Can you hear it's a much more mature level of trust, because it also allows for people to disappoint you and to be imperfect, for life to disappoint you and be imperfect, but it doesn't rock the stability of your ability to trust. And then there's the third kind of trust, which is being able to trust life. And I don't mean like, universe, I hand over my life to you, you take care of me. No, that's more like the first kind of trust. No, I mean, I trust in an intelligence bigger than myself to be part of the co-creation of the unfolding of my world. And it is way bigger than me and my capacity of my human mind and my own consciousness. And so when you can have the second and the third kind of trust, it gives you much more flexibility and fluidness and flow and ease to be able to have a beautiful dance with life and in relationships and with yourself, rather than the first kind of trust, which is it's all based on conditions. So that's just kind of setting the context of what trust even is. So now let's look at the two hardest things that human beings find being with, meaning they immediately trigger the survival mechanism. And whatever immediately triggers the survival mechanism means that you immediately have to have a relationship with what's being triggered in either old, ineffective, limited ways that keep you stuck in your pattern, or ways that allows you to grow and heal and mature. Those two things are being in the not knowing and being out of control. Both of these mechanically trigger the body-mind survival mechanism. And why is it so hard? What is actually happening in the human mind that causes these two pieces to be consistently intolerable? And therefore, they are the gateways, the blocks that can potentially keep us consistently stuck. Being in the not knowing and being out of control. Well, firstly, the human mind is designed purely for survival. The human mind does not care about your dreams. It doesn't have any romantic, emotional attachment to you or to whether you're happy or whether you're fulfilled. It is a mechanical, focused and designed mechanism purely for survival. And it is a pattern recognition device. And it is a highly effective pattern recognition device that is effective in getting us out of burning buildings or sensing when we are in real danger and we need to grab our things and run. Back in the caveman days, if you went out hunting in the bush and you heard a rustling in the bushes, the mind would immediately recognize the rustling in the bushes, saber-toothed tiger, send communication signals, and then tell you to run. In service of survival, the human mind is very, very effective. But survival and living are two very different paradigms. And the problem is that most of the time, we are stuck in survival, and we're calling that living. We are living our life like saber-toothed tigers are coming around the corner every 2 seconds. That when your partner rolls his eyes, your whole system gets the communication that you are in danger, or you're not loved, or you're not wanted, or you're not safe. Or the number in your bank account immediately activates every wiring in your body-mind apparatus, and you're communicated that you are not safe, you're not going to be able to survive, you're not going to have enough. We are constantly living as if saber-toothed tigers are rustling in the bushes, and we don't even realize it. It's a blind spot. And that is because we're being run by the human mind. And the human mind is only designed for your survival. And so we don't really want to be stuck in survival. And transformation and maturation is in service of living, outgrowing our attachments to our survival mechanisms, the patterns that have been developed since childhood, that have been conditioned, wired for us to continually survive our childhood, even now in the present moment. But that doesn't give us much space for living. Living is being in the presence of our experience of life in the moment, not being driven by the past and the future, not being driven by the potential problems that may come down the road, not being driven by the potential problems that happened in the past, but being so able to be in the present moment that we really are able to experience the beauty of the tree and the beauty of the moment and the beauty of each other and the beauty of ourselves. So the moment we step into an experience or space that is on the edge or beyond the limitations of the survival pattern, which has shaped your identity, it will feel and be communicated as a threat to the human mind. So whenever you step into anything that is beyond what you always already know, meaning anytime you step anywhere close to the unknown, it will be recognized through your human mind and the survival mechanism that that is a threat, it is unsafe, it is a danger, and everything will be activated through your whole system that you are not safe. And you are going to have to stay small and stay controlled and stay back in your box where you are safe to survive. The dilemma is it's only in the unknown that you have any possibility of creating anything beyond your survival. So can you hear the dilemma? The very edge that allows you to start creating something new for your life beyond the limitations of your own survival mechanism is the very thing that activates your human mind that you are at threat, unsafe, and you can't expand and grow. And it will always trigger the survival mechanism until you have completely outgrown that piece. And then we think that because we are flooded with fear and unsafety and panic and these communication signals of being in danger, we think that what we're about to do is really, really unsafe and really dangerous and we shouldn't do it. And we get right back in our box and we don't do it. So can you hear what a dilemma that is? if we are run by this, it's not only that it might stop your growth. Your expansion and growth and freedom is impossible from here. The second thing that human beings and the human mind find so hard, which was being out of control, and then being able to be kind and understanding about us being out of control. When our human mind reactivates mechanically, it's mechanical. The brain mind is like a flight simulator. It quite literally just recognizes anything particularly similar to what's in the memory bank, and then it sends signals through your whole body mind apparatus, and then that floods your system with the same emotions and temperatures and sensory experiences of the threat that's in the memory bank, and we're being flooded by a mechanism. Even our thoughts, we think, most people that I've ever worked with think that you are thinking your thoughts, but you're not thinking your thoughts. If you were thinking your thoughts, you would be able to stop those thoughts, but you can't, can you? Those thoughts are mechanical, repetitive, recorded messages given by the memory bank of whatever you've absorbed and been conditioned by, and that's just stored in the hard drive, and they're just looping and looping and looping and looping, which is why each one of you has a particular familiarity to the kind of thoughting that thoughts you. And so when we can't control our body-mind apparatus, we take it very personally, don't we? When you get flooded again by your system, you don't think of it like, oh, I'm being flooded by my system. You think that, oh, I'm triggered again and there's something wrong with me. And then we take it personally, and we make it personal, and we make it mean that we've done something bad, or maybe we're weak, or we're really broken, or we're really messed up, or all that work that I did myself didn't work on me because there's something wrong with me. And then that drags you right back into the same old survival pattern that your brain mind was giving you a reason to try and keep you safe from. And you're right back in the vicious circle, nowhere near the maturity and the expansion and the healing that you were longing for. So these two pieces are some of the biggest blocks that there are to our maturation. And so what are the solutions? Trust and compassion. Trust is the solution for being on the edge of everything that we know and being able to be in the unknown. Compassion is the ability to understand what is moving through you and what is running you with kindness and understanding, but not taking it personally. What actually happens to the body-mind apparatus? What happens to our system when we choose to trust and when we offer compassion? A couple of weeks ago, I spent the weekend with an amazing human being called Nassim Haramein, an incredible quantum physicist. And he took over the research from Einstein. He's one of the most brilliant human beings on the planet. He's about to release some really powerful information about quantum mechanics and the unified field. And he shared with me that trust is not just a feeling. Trust is a paradigm. When we really choose to engage in the two more mature kinds of trust, trusting in who you really are and trusting in life, that trust communicates to every cell in your system that you are held and safe. It's not just a feeling. It's an entire paradigm that allows your whole system to begin rewiring, which allows you to build a new foundation for courage, growth, and living beyond survival. You don't have to feel the trust. You just have to decide that you do trust. It's a decision. It's a commitment that allows you to keep walking into the void, but you are walking, being held by the foundation of trust. And at the same time, being able to see that you are flooded again by what floods every human being, and that is the human mind, and offering yourself compassion for being part of the human race. These two qualities upgrade our entire cellular structure. And it allows us to start building a relationship with ourselves each time that is healing. Every single time you are able to make the decision to trust and offer yourself real compassion for being a human being, you literally start building a new relationship with your own self. You are literally rewiring your system that you can trust yourself even more than before, and that you are safe. Even if you don't feel safe, but you know you are. So the next time it happens, you go deeper and you heal even more, and you go deeper and you heal even more, until eventually you learn to navigate through all hard things in your life. And then that becomes the context of how you even know yourself. You start becoming someone that you know that you can navigate hard things, that you can hold yourself through hard moments, and that gives you more courage to live a bigger life. Your mind begins to get quieter, and the unknown starts to be more of your new playground. Which is why trust and compassion are the root to all growth and maturation. And when you start being able to live like this with yourself, you can start offering it to other people too. So I hope that you have found this useful. This is healing for everyone. If you have been enjoying these YouTube videos, then please click the button below and subscribe to our channel. And also click here to watch the next video, which is where I am speaking to, if you find yourself doing everything right, ticking all the boxes, everything you said you were going to do, and yet you are still feeling unfulfilled. Click on the button below and watch that video where I speak about why and what's actually happening internally that is blocking you from the kind of fulfillment that you're longing for. So thank you so much for watching. See you next video.